The Normandy American Military Cemetery here in Colleville-sur-Mer, France is the final resting place for 9,387 service members who paid the ultimate sacrifice in the liberation of Europe during the Second World War. This cemetery and the surrounding area in Normandy, France is the scene for this year's 60th anniversary commemoration of the largest invasion in the history of warfare, D-Day. While there were troops landing on beaches near here during that invasion named Omaha, Juno, Gold, and Sword, there were also airborne paratroopers landing further inland. The drop zone for the commemorative jump is near the historic town of Saint-Mère-Église, the first French town liberated by American paratroopers. There's a monument there to the airborne troops called Iron Mike. That's where Specialist Brandon Roth is with more on what the jump means to the townspeople, the soldiers who took part, and the veterans who were there 60 years ago.
Kane, early on the morning of June 6, 1944, the skies behind me were filled with the canopies of American paratroopers descending into drop zone Iron Mike. Those paratroopers would go on to fight and die while liberating France. 60 years later, modern American paratroopers honored their airborne predecessors by recreating that classic jump. Close to 700 American paratroopers jumped into drop zone Iron Mike, much to the delight of thousands of onlookers. Among the dignitaries in the crowd, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Richard Myers, Acting Secretary of the Army, Les Brownlee, Air Force Chief of Staff, General John Jumper, EUCOM Commander General James Jones, and United States Army Europe Commander General B.B. Bell. The biggest stars of the day, however, were the paratroopers, both active duty and veterans who made the trip back to drop zone Iron Mike.
I definitely thought about it coming over here, just what the men who jumped into Normandy, they basically jumping into hell. I mean, it was pretty nasty what they were jumping into. I'm very grateful that it wasn't like that for our jump into Iraq.
We were catching a lot of flak as we came across here. A lot of flak, machine gun bullets, tracers. It was like the 4th of July.
It would take American paratroopers 4 days to drive the Germans out of drop zone Iron Mike. Paratrooper Bob Murphy was one of the first soldiers to land on the battlefield.
Well, I come back here because I remember my friends.
For World War II vet Bob Murphy, the Lafayette Bridge is a sacred place. Though it is peaceful here now, Murphy remembers a much different scene.
Yeah, we had no ammunition left, and a great number of the men were killed or lying there wounded.
June 6, 1944, Murphy, an 18-year-old pathfinder with the 505th Parachute Infantry Regiment, jumps into Normandy. His unit is ordered to hold the area around the Lafayette Bridge, just outside the village of Saint-Mère-Église. The 4-day battle would turn out to be one of the bloodiest of the D-Day invasion.
Major Kellum, the battalion commander, was killed, and Captain Royalson, right down here in the road, was killed.
Murphy's unit held the bridge, but they paid a heavy price. 70% were killed or wounded. Murphy, a retired engineer, has made this pilgrimage here many times before.
I think of my friends and you know, the value of freedom, which we know is not free.
Though relations between the U.S. and France may now be strained, here in the village of Saint-Mère-Église, World War II vets like Bob Murphy are still treated as heroes by the people they helped liberate 60 years ago.
Here, there's special and little kids. You see the little kids? Say, merci beaucoup. You know, they thank you because their mother told them, this is a man that liberated and gave us our freedom.
A freedom many Americans paid for with their lives. It is a sacrifice survivors of the Great War like Bob Murphy say they will never forget. Reporting from Normandy, France, Specialist Brandon Roth.
The real reason for these 60th anniversary commemoration events is to remember those who paid the ultimate sacrifice and to honor those veterans who faithfully served their country and helped liberate Europe. The veterans gather here to meet old friends, to revisit old battlefields, and to honor those comrades who are laid to rest here in these grounds. They're joined by 18 heads of state who have journeyed to this region of France to participate in these events, and that includes United States President George W. Bush. It's his second visit to Omaha Beach and the cemetery here in Colleville-sur-Mer.
One GI later said, as our boat touched sand and the ramp went down, I became a visitor to hell.
His words echoed across a garden of veterans, those who were laid to rest here and those who have come to commemorate the largest invasion in history and the greatest sacrifice of America.
Okay, I see it.
Men like Medal of Honor recipient Walter H. Ehlers. He landed at Omaha Beach with his brother, who died in the first wave.
That I'm here to honor them because they paid the supreme sacrifice, and I always tell people that my brother was my greatest hero. We fought through Africa and Sicily. This was our third invasion, and he didn't make it.
I want each of you to understand you will be honored ever and always by the country you served and by the nations you freed.
French President Jacques Chirac, in a sign of solidarity, joined President Bush in remembering the fallen. Among those here paying respect, First Lady Laura Bush, Secretary of State Colin Powell, and star of the popular World War II film Saving Private Ryan, Tom Hanks.
These guys are here because they relied on each other in order to get the job done. That's if I can be so bold as to say, that's the great strength of the United States of America.
And my dad instilled in me the importance of remembering what the World War II veterans did in allowing the next generation to even exist, because they saved the world.
With flags at half-staff, the solemn occasion was also a chance to mark the passing of President Ronald Reagan, who visited Normandy and spoke during the 40th anniversary of D-Day.
20 summers ago, another American president came here to Normandy to pay tribute to the men of D-Day. He was a courageous man himself, and a gallant leader in the cause of freedom. And today we honor the memory of Ronald Reagan.
It's really important, I think, that a guy like Ronald Reagan, who talked about this, was here 40 years ago and asked the question about where do we find men like these who will look across these crosses and pointed across the ocean, and we find them in America.
Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. America honors all the liberators who fought here in the noblest of causes. And America would do it again for our friends. May God bless you.